some sad news from the coast region. 17 people died on the spot and several others are critically injured in two freak accidents which occurred in the Voi and Kilifi areas of the coast region at dawn. In Voi, 12 died on the spot in a head-on collision between a lorry and a bus which was traveling from Mombasa to Nairobi at 3:30 a.m. According to sources, the bus was trying to avoid a head-on collision but instead rammed into the side of the lorry, which ripped apart the bus. Survivors have blamed the accident on the driver, who they accused of overspeeding. Both drivers died in Voi. 5 died and at least 16 were injured when a matatu and a tour van collided at the Makongeni area, Bipingo, along the Mombasa-Malindi Road. According to Kilifi District Traffic Base Commander Chief Inspector Mr. Justus Motono, 4 fatalities were from the matatu, who died on the spot, while the 5th casualty was the driver of the tour van, who was pronounced dead on arrival at the Kilifi District Hospital. The police boss blamed the accident on careless driving and lamented that it occurred in an open area where it could easily have been avoided. Well, former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan has sent a peace message in the run-up to the January election. The message sent on behalf of the African Union panel of eminent African personalities reads in part that Kenyans will exercise their sovereign right to choose their next president, as well as local and regional leaders under the new constitution. Annan terms it as the most ambitious elections held in Kenya and takes place at a critical juncture in the country's history. He also says that Kenyans are working to heal deep wounds, to forge national cohesion and unity, and to build an institutional framework to safeguard their nation's future. Therefore, they must not allow a repeat of the past. He quoted that although the police service may be undergoing reforms, it should be steadfast in maintaining safety and security during and even after the elections. He ends by emphasizing that the elections must be peaceful, free and fair. They must be conducted in accordance with the rule of law. They also must be carried out with integrity and must reflect the will of the people. End of statement. Let's now take a look at how the campaigns are being conducted today. The CORD coalition is currently holding several mini rallies in Rift Valley's Nakuru and Baringo counties before a main rally at Nakuru's Afraha Stadium. The 3 CORD principals, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula, are expected to be in attendance, as the region is one of the areas where they really need to woo the voters, as it is perceived as a TNA-URP stronghold. Our senior reporter Aaron Ochieng is at the Afraha Stadium and joins us live. Aaron, over to you.
Right, Eric Njoka, we are live from the Afraha grounds here in Nakuru County, where in just a few hours from now, the 3 CORD principals, Raila Odinga, together with Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula, will be making their way here to address a rally here as they continue with their campaigns here in the Rift Valley. Of course, you know, last week and the better part of early of this weekend, they've been campaigning different parts of Rift Valley. This is significant because they are saying that there is a lot of votes here that they can harness. They're saying that contrary to what people are saying, that this is a URP dominated area, they say they still know they can get a few votes, if not a lot of votes, from this particular region. And as if you remember last general election, Raila Odinga enjoyed the support of William Ruto, who is missing from this particular group right now. And according to Raila Odinga, yesterday at Kapkatet grounds in Kericho County, he said that the Kalenjin community still is behind him. And this is still a cosmopolitan area, Nakuru County, because there are a lot of other tribes which are here. We have the Luyas, the Luos, and predominantly these are Kalenjin and Kikuyu dominated areas, but they're making their way here in just a few hours. I will keep you updated with what is happening. Back to you, Eric, in the studio.
Thank you very much, Aaron Ochieng, coming to you live from the Afraha Stadium in Nakuru County, where Jubilee, I beg your pardon, CORD is said to be holding their campaigns a little later today. Now, the Jubilee coalition took their vote hunt to Kambani yesterday, traversing Makueni County a region perceived as a Wiper Party stronghold. The four principals in the coalition addressed a rally in Matu, where they promised to improve food security in that region that has time and again had to rely on relief food. Sophia Wanuna reports.
With slightly over a week to go to the general election, the Jubilee coalition visited Wiper's stronghold, Ukambani, yesterday to popularize themselves. Being in a region that experiences some of the worst droughts that caused the famine, William Ruto promised the residents that if elected, they would deal with the issue of food insecurity in the area.
Serikali ya Jubilee tunasema haiwezekani tena kwamba watu wa sehemu hii wanapigishwa foleni wapatiwe mahindi ya relief. Sisi tutahakikisha ya kwamba wakulima wa hapa wanapata mbegu, wanapata mbolea, tunalete matokeo ya serikali na tunaweka mradi wa irrigation ili watu wa sehemu hii wazalishe chakula, wakae kama Wakenya wengine, tuondoe aibu ya njaa.
As is the norm over the last few weeks to the election, the Jubilee leaders hit out at their political rivals called Alliance, insisting they are the best choice for Kenya.
Unajua ule mtu wa vitendawili, ile matusi ambaye amewekea juu yangu na hata juu ya Kalonzo. Unajua nyinyi yale yote ambaye amesema juu yake. Kweli ya uongo? Si ni kweli? Sasa niambie, hiyo ni ndoa ya haki au ni ndoa ya viti? Wakienda kwa mkutano, mmoja anaangalia upande hii, ule mwingine anaangalia upande hii, hawawezi kuangaliana, kwa sababu wanajua wakiangaliana kwa macho, hiyo chuki inaweza kutokea. Kweli ya uongo?
Siku kodi wako na kitu ya kusema. Walianza wakisema ati tunatumia pesa sana ya umma. Hiyo wakakoma. Sasa wakaenda wakasema tunatumia provincial administration. Mimi tangu niwe kwa uongozi sijajai kuona chief moja au assistant chief akinisaidia nichaguliwe.
The Jubilee coalition urged Kenyans to maintain peace in the lead-up, during and after the general election. Sophia Wanuna, KTN.
We are still on Jubilee, and the Alliance's presidential candidate Uhuru Kenyatta and running mate William Ruto will this afternoon pitch tent in KAJIADO County in a bid to iron out sharp divisions between TNA and URP supporters on who to support in the gubernatorial race. The High Court early this month quashed the decision by IEBC to clear Josiah Kores as TNA's governor candidate for KAJIADO County. TNA supporters have been reluctant to embrace their partners in the Jubilee Alliance and support Daniel Olenina, who is contesting KAJIADO governor seat on URP ticket. Patrick Amimo reports.
Josiah Ole Kores arrived at the IEBC offices in a chopper to beat the deadline as he sought clearance to contest the KAJIADO County governor seat on a TNA party ticket. He was cleared by the IEBC to contest. However, a week later, the High Court quashed IEBC's decision to clear Ole Kores. A three-judge bench ruled that the degree Kores had presented from a university in Costa Rica was not recognized by the Commission for University Education. The case had been filed by Sipape Naini, who lost in the nomination for the KAJIADO governor seat. The High Court's decision meant TNA would not field a candidate for the governor position in KAJIADO County. Daniel Mpute Olenina initially warmed up to TNA in the run-up to party primaries, but he was forced to decamp to URP, a sister party in the Jubilee Alliance, to contest the governor's seat after he was trounced by Ole Kores during the nominations. However, despite the fact Kores will be missing from the ballot, TNA supporters in KAJIADO have been reluctant to support URP's Daniel Olenina.
So far, katika coalition ya Jubilee, ni mimi tu peke yake niko nikiwa governor Olenina, na kwa sababu ya umoja tulioko naye, sisi tumeungana. Kama mmoja pengine hakuweza kufika kwa debe, mimi mwenyewe tayari nimefika kwa debe.
As Uhuru and Ruto take their campaigns in KAJIADO County, one of their first tasks will be how to reconcile TNA and URP supporters and ensure they rally support for a candidate of their choice. Leaders in the two leading coalitions of Ford and Jubilee face a headache on how to deal with smaller partner parties in their alliances who have fielded candidates for various positions. calls for six-piece voting pattern has been resisted by supporters across the country who want to make independent choice on elected leaders at the grassroots level. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
Meanwhile, the Amani coalition is said to be holding a different kind of campaigns in Trans Nzoia, and I now bring in Mercy Kandie, who's live on phone. Mercy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Njoka.
How different is this campaign? I heard you say something very interesting there.
Yes, the Amani coalition started their day today with meeting with the leaders from local leaders in Trans Nzoia County, residents and also members of the Amani coalition. These are Makto, Musikari Kombo, Kipruto Arap Kirwa, the flag bearer Msali Mudavadi, and Eugene Wamalwa. They're being hosted at Eugene Wamalwa's residence in Kitale, and they affirmed that the Luhya community will be voting as a bloc. They also are saying that the allegations that CORD are making that Jubilee Alliance is using government offices to campaign, and also the recent statements by Chief Justice Dr. Willy Mutunga are a recipe for inciting the country, and they're saying that they should refrain from such, especially this time just before the general election.
Are they saying anything about the polls? Because remember yesterday the polls were conducted, and they were the last polls, and if you go with the Ipsos Synovate, they were coming number 3. Are they commenting anything about that?
Yes, they are, Njoka. They say that despite the polls that put them at 5.2%, they say that they are affirming that Amani coalition is still in the race, and that they are in this race to win. But they also say that the recent propaganda that has been going on, that the Amani coalition is there majorly to spoil votes for CORD coalition. They're now saying that the recent opinion polls that put Jubilee Alliance with a slight lead above the CORD coalition, is that they are saying that that should be a message to the CORD Alliance, that they are not spoiling votes for them, that maybe the same propaganda maybe then should be put towards the Jubilee coalition. But they're saying they're in this race to win. Njoka?
Maybe as a sense of curiosity, this is between me and you and the audience, why the elders? Why did they decide to meet these elders in Trans Nzoia?
First of all, Njoka, they were in Trans Nzoia County, and in Trans Nzoia County, the Amani coalition enjoys a reasonable amount of the Amani coalition has a reasonable support in Trans Nzoia County, basically, and then there has been reports that the Amani coalition, the Luhya community, will not vote as a bloc. So the Amani coalition meeting leaders, various leaders, women leaders, the elders in Trans Nzoia County, is just to ensure. In fact, what they told the residents there is that they're giving permission flag bearer Musale Mudavadi to head outside his region to look for votes while they campaign for him in Trans Nzoia County. So
finally,
yes,
very quickly.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you short. Finally, very quickly, what are their plans for today? Maybe you can give us a diary of what they're planning to do in Trans Nzoia today.
Yes, Njoka, they have just finished meeting the leaders. They are headed to a burial still in Trans Nzoia County. Then they will head for their mini rallies in Western Region. Njoka.
Thank you very much, Mercy Kandie. Mercy Kandie coming to us live from Trans Nzoia, where the Amani coalition is said to conduct its campaigns in that region. Moving on, as politicians crisscross the country soliciting for votes, the sports agenda seems to have taken a backseat. A closer look at their manifestos does not reveal much, despite the fact that a huge block of the voters they are trying to appeal to are the youth, most of whom participate in one way or another in sports and other recreational activities. KTN's senior sports reporter Hassan Juma interrogated the manifestos.
Every county, but that promise lacks in clarity with regard to timelines and budget.
We must have the faith in our own energies, our own creativity and talent to make our choices. Why did our fathers and mothers struggle for independence, if not to give us the opportunity to seize this moment?
The CORD coalition merely glossed over how it plans to restructure the sports sector. But the irony of it is that for 5 years now, most of the CORD luminaries were part of the government. Yet they did not push for the development of sports. Successive ministers face similar predicaments with minimal solutions to the problems bedeviling the sector in the country. The code wing feels it was given a short end of the stick while in government, and thus was not able to put in the much needed change.
The central government was not pumping enough money to the Ministry of where the code government was relying on. That's the issue that I think made the code affiliated ministries lacking support from the central government.
The Eagle Coalition candidate Peter Kenneth, a one-time football administrator turned politician just like Ruben Ndolo and Kenneth Matiba and the late Joab Omino, used the sports podium to catapult themselves to parliament. But once there, they turned their backs on all sports-related issues.
I went to government at a time when government was not putting money in sports.
When you go to sports, Hassan, I think sometimes I look at our leaders, they look down upon sports.
Will they turn their fortunes this time round, or will it be the same old story?
I would like to open up the whole sector of sports. First of all, by looking at infrastructure and having young academies for young people.
Of more concern is structures which need to be streamlined.
They will commit to making sure that devolution is implemented to the letters contained and required by the Constitution as written, so that we are able to take the destiny, shape the destiny of the population on the ground in Mandera County, start making sure that the Human Development Index performances improve, greatly within the population.
A close check at the NAC Kenya manifesto led by Martha Karua, Paul Muite Safina, James Ole Kiapi's Restore and Build Kenya, and Mohamed Dida of the Alliance for Real Change does not spur any confidence just yet in the sporting front, and stakeholders feel politicians are out to hoodwink the youth. And now the youth, who form the majority of the voters, have been warned to tread carefully and demand to know their stake in the manifestos.
Youth should not be used by politicians, the politicians we are having. And even if you listen to them carefully, there are important areas they are not mentioning.
Reporting for KTN, I'm Hassan Juma.
Well, it is indeed true that sports is a critical agenda that needs to be focused on. Now, officials from the port of Mombasa have dismissed claims that the port is losing business to Dar es Salaam as the country prepares to go to the polls. The Kenya Ports Authority says it is receiving more business than Dar es Salaam and has put in place measures to ensure business is not disrupted in the coming weeks. Wilkista Nyamba reports.
Apprehension over the outcome of the upcoming elections is now fueling fears that the port of Mombasa may be losing business to Dar es Salaam. However, the Kenya Ports Authority has moved to reassure the country that this is not the case.
Dar es Salaam, or the Tanzania, is the fifth transit user of the port of Mombasa. 2.8% of the volume of business we did last year is or was from the port, from Tanzania. There is no volume of business from Kenya that goes through the port of Dar es Salaam. From the numbers that we've just talked about, and from the evidence tabled by the presence of this vessel here, that she is leaving behind traffic to be moved from this port to the other port, or the sister port of Dar es Salaam, is itself evidence enough that there is no way you could be leasing business if the business for the other port is being left behind to be collected by vessels from that particular port.
The KPA Managing Director says measures have been put in place to ensure the port's operations continue uninterrupted even during the election period.
The government has assured all and sundry that there will be peace and protection of properties and that there will be no interruptions in the course of the business. Because of this, we feel very strongly we are prepared and we are keen to do business as usual. The indicated volumes that we expect to come in are an assurance in itself that the Kenyans and the business people that do business with the port of Mombasa have faith and trust in what has been given as an assurance.
The Mombasa or Northern Corridor route is popular among Ugandan traders because it is shorter at about 1,200 kilometers to Dar es Salaam's 1,800 kilometers. Approximately 90% of Uganda's imports and exports transit through Mombasa, while only 1% of Uganda's goods pass through the port of Dar. Uganda contributes 78% of the transit traffic at the port of Mombasa. In 2007, when Kenya went to the polls, Uganda's inflation rate shot to 7.8%, owing to the violence and the difficulty in transporting essential goods. Mombasa port officials are now putting in place measures to hold on to the business generated by the port during the elections. Wilkinson Abwa, KTN Live at 1.
A resurgence in coffee theft in central Kenya is worrying stakeholders, as it is impacting negatively on the returns of farmers who have invested in this cash crop that remains one of Kenya's top foreign exchange earners. Though the theft peaked and subsided in 2012, it seems to have picked up again this year. KTN's Karen Derry reports on the menace that is dampening coffee farmers' spirits.
According to officials in the coffee sector, there is a resurgence of coffee theft that is causing untold misery to coffee farmers in central Kenya in the recent past. The farmers and cooperative societies have incurred heavy losses despite measures taken to improve productivity, as profits from coffee have tremendously improved compared to the past. Central Kenya Cooperatives Officer Stephen Mutugi Mwenje says more than 700 bags have been stolen this far.
This issue of having old people as their guards, people who need the guarding, other than them guarding the what? The coffee and the factories, should cease.
Previously, Kiambu County was the hardest hit.
Nyeri has lost 255 bags. Kirinyaga has lost 134 bags. Muranga is the one which has lost the most this time, at 381 bags. And Kiambu, and I congratulate the governance of the Kiambu cooperatives after that other time that we were going around and sensitizing them, they have lost only 8 bags so far. And you remember last time, it is the one which had lost the most.
In 2011, when the wave of coffee theft was at its peak, most farmers were advised on how to curb this, advice that was reiterated by Mwenje.
We also agreed that they should install security systems, warnings, alarms, all right, that would be used to inform the surrounding population that something is happening, something unusual is happening in that factory.
Coffee is the backbone of this region's economy, and the re-emergence of the vice spells doom for the local residents. It is hoped that the government will invoke measures to put to a stop the menace. While putting measures to curb this theft that has stakeholders worried, farmers are encouraged to increase productivity through value addition, and this will in turn translate to good profit. Carol Nderi for KTN in Nyeri.
Thank you, Nderi, for that. Indeed, you are watching KTN Live at 1 with me, Eric Njoka. I'll have more stories after this short break.